Good morning, lovely people. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Lou. I'm a Manchester United fan, and today I want to talk about Wolverhampton Wanderers, or as their friends call them, Wolves. Now, I am not going to pretend to be an expert on Wolves, so I've done some research before this video. If you see me checking over here, this is my wee notebook where I've kept all my notes, because obviously I don't want to misrepresent the club or the facts, and I don't want to be putting information out there that is incorrect. So if I have a bit of a brain freeze and I'm checking over here, it's just to make sure that I'm not filling you all full of rubbish. Now, Wolves are a team that kind of are always there. You know of them, you see them around the place in the Premier League, but then sometimes they go off for a little while on a wee trip down to the Championship, and then they're back up into the Premier League again. So they do spend a lot of time over the years moving up and down between the tiers. They have spent a very small amount of time in the lower tiers, but for the most part they're between the Championship and the Premier League. Now, their most recent spell in the Premier League started in 2018, while their manager was Nuno Espirito Santo. Now, he brought them up from the Championship, and since then, in the Premier League, they've actually worked their way through 4 more managers. So after Nuno Espirito Santo, they had Bruno Lage, Julian Lopetegui, Gary O'Neill, and most recently, Vitor Pereira. Vitor Pereira was a Portuguese manager. He actually won the Primeira Liga with Porto before working his way through a number of other teams and then eventually winding his way up at Wolverhampton Wanderers. He has managed just 11 months at Wolves, and when we look at the table, we can see why. After 10 match days this season, Wolves have a grand total of 2 points. They are absolutely super glued to the relegation zone, and after 10 matches, clearly something is going very, very, very wrong. Now, I did a video yesterday talking about how some fans can sometimes be a bit irrational, can call for the manager's head a little bit too soon, but I think actually this is a perfect example of exactly when you should be parting ways with your manager. It doesn't mean that Vitor Pereira is a terrible manager. It means he is absolutely not a good fit at Wolves, and if you leave it any longer, you are not going to have enough time with a new manager to get out of the position that you're in. So I think this is the right time to be doing it, and I think it's the right, it's not reactionary. It's not what we were talking about in yesterday's video. This is exactly when you should be getting rid of your manager. Something's going wrong. You have 2 points after 10 games. You are super glued to the relegation zone, and you have had enough of moving up and down between the Championship and the Premier League. Now, what is unclear is who is going to be his replacement. So there have been some rumours, there has been all sorts going on, but nobody really seems to know who's going to be his replacement. So there was some talks and some rumours that Gary O'Neill was actually going to make a return to Wolves as the manager again. But yesterday, Sky poo-pooed those rumours and said that actually he has walked away from those talks and he's not interested in rejoining the team. Now, like everything else, when it's in the media, you're probably only getting half a story, but at the moment, a return for Gary O'Neill seems unlikely. One of the other rumoured candidates is Erik Ten Haag. Now, I'm smiling a little bit because as a Manchester United fan, I am very familiar with Erik Ten Haag. And according to the Mirror, Erik has actually put himself forward for this position. He has contacted Wolves and he has told them, I'm available, I think I can help, let me have the job, I'll sort it out for you lads. I would find that very interesting, because while Erik Ten Haag was not a resounding success at Manchester United, he also, in my eyes, wasn't a complete failure. What he did at Ajax was fantastic, and we all know that Manchester United is a poison chalice at the moment, so it's very difficult to actually judge a manager's acumen in their role at Manchester United. So actually he may do a far better job at Wolves if they were to take him on board. There's no updates on that, it's just he's put himself forward, that's where we're at the moment. Supposedly he's one of 2 actual realistic candidates for this. So the other candidate that is being talked about is Rob Edwards, who is the Middlesbrough manager. Now, Rob Edwards, actually with the bookies, is the current favourite to take this role. I wouldn't always set much store by what the bookies do and say and by their odds. I actually previously worked for our bookies for many years. I know how the odds are calculated. It just gives you a bit of a ballpark. It's not, I wouldn't take it as set in stone. Now, when he was asked about this, Rob Edwards did say, look, I'm fully focused on Middlesbrough. I'm fully focused on our next match. I'm not going to be talking about that. Now, to be fair to him, what else was he going to say? He's not going to turn around in his press conference for a Middlesbrough match and be like, yeah, lads, I'm definitely interested in the Wolves job. He can't do that. It's not realistic. It's the same as the transfer window. If I'm linked to X player and you come into my match press conference and you say, oh, I heard you're in links with this player, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, definitely. All the time. You hear all the managers say, I'm going to talk about the players that I've already got. I can't talk about a player that doesn't play for my team. I can't comment on those rumours. We'll see what happens. That is essentially what Rob Edwards has done with this. He has said, I work at Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough's my team. That's the team I can talk about. I can't really say anything about any other team. So he's basically using transfer talk lingo, because managers moving from club to club is really like a transfer. But there's very little else he could say. He was a bit stuck. So I'm not reading too much into the fact that he said, no, I'm focused on Middlesbrough. Okay, that's exactly what he's going to say. So essentially at the moment, it seems to be between Erik Ten Haag and Rob Edwards. That's not to say that somebody isn't going to jump out that we don't know about, because let's face it, this is football and football is absolutely unpredictable. But their next match is against Chelsea. And I would imagine that they would want to have somebody in place for that match, because it's already going to be difficult. Or is it a case that they will want to just try and get through that match and maybe not have a brand new manager coming in with their first match as Chelsea? So that'll be interesting to see. How do the players react to the fact that Vitor Pereira is gone? Will they take on this match even without a manager, a new permanent manager, and hit the ground running? Will they get a bit of a bounce? Was there a problem between the players and the coach? I don't really know. So if you're a Wolves fan, please get in the comments. Let me know exactly what went wrong to your knowledge. Who would you like to see taking on the role of manager at your club? Do you feel that you've changed at the right time? Should Vitor Pereira have been let go earlier? Do you think you have time to climb your way out of the relegation zone? There's enough matches left to get enough points to get out of the relegation zone. As we know, this Premier League this season is incredibly competitive the whole way down the table. There's very few points in the positions. So that's probably a good position for you to be in, because it means one loss, one win in either direction for the teams above you or for yourselves might be the difference in a few places. But please get your thoughts and comments down below. What I will just finish on, because I found it a very interesting fact when I was looking into Wolves for this video, Wolves are one of the 4 founding teams of the Football League, which I didn't know. So the Football League obviously became the EFL, but isn't it really, really sad to see one of the founding teams of the Football League in 10 games into the season with only 2 points? So I hope they find the right guy. I hope he can turn it around. And I hope Wolves start getting some more points on the board. Please smash a like on the video. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. And please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Have a lovely, lovely day, folks. See you soon.